welcome to Cadmium Dread.
With your hosts Mimi and Josh, and our special guest today,
Alan Song.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Hello, Alan. Thank you.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah,
this
thank
is going to
you.
be awesome.
Yeah, this has been an episode I've been looking forward to.
Really? Why?
Just because I wanted you on, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been talking about you.
Yeah, I have like my list of like the guests that I want, and you were on it.
Everything he said is not true.
Oh, you don't know that.
Also, it's a first time we've recorded on a Friday.
Yeah.
After work.
In the evening, we always
In the evening.
record
I
in
know
like
the lights are on.
yeah, on this big chandelier that if you've followed our Instagram, you know how fucking close to our heads this chandelier
I have
is.
no control over the chandelier.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. I just like how our taller guests have like bumped their heads into it, like Gung and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, it adds character. I feel like it is its own character at this point.
Yeah. It's our mascot.
Yeah. It should be part of our like cover illustration. I would like a second crack at
Yeah.
the typography.
Yeah, I'll second crack at everything.
I think that's great, though.
Yeah.
Because you know, like, if you try it again, you'll probably like it better.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then you'll try it again, and then you'll like it better.
Yeah.
And you'll keep doing it until
Mm.
it's perfect.
And now we're not in a vacuum. I feel like we've had feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah, from like
Mhm.
the world.
What kind of feedback did you
Oh
get?
my gosh, like
about-
from other artists, they were like, actually, if you look at your Facebook page on the phone, like, you should center your banner a little bit more. And I'm like,
Nice.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm like, that's good feedback.
It is good
I'm
feedback.
too tired right now to
Yeah.
fix that, but
Another
I'll
one,
get around to
another
it.
one that I like looked back into it. I don't know if I got this feedback myself. I used feedback that I gave on my own to us
Uh-huh.
in my head. Was I just worried about the legibility at a small size of the title.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's too like kind of like stringy and
Mhm.
not stringy, but like that like death metal font doesn't read well.
You know,
Yeah.
I think what you just said reflects what you do. No one else cares about that stuff unless you've worked in mobile games.
Yeah.
We're all about legibility.
Yeah.
Like, well, how does it look on a device? That's like the
it's-
question everyone asks.
It-
Well,
it-
does it read on a device?
It's important.
It's important
It's
and
extremely important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's how everyone sees it.
and yes, just too much experience with that.
Yeah.
I mean, and that brings us into
Yeah, let's get into it.
our
So,
how
yeah,
I know
Josh.
Alan and stuff
Mhm.
and
It's my first time meeting Alan.
Nice to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you.
I mean, I'm sure. I was like, I'm sure they're both gonna like each other.
Well, yeah, I've heard a lot of the episodes, so
Yeah.
I kind of got a feel for
Cool.
her personality through her voice. So
Yeah, I was telling you.
Ah,
That's feedback I've gotten.
yeah,
That's
you know
amazing.
Mimi through her voice.
That's amazing.
But yeah, so I met Alan at Machine Zone. I know everyone listening can probably sense the trend. I met a lot of people in Machine Zone. And Alan was an art director. We were working at the same time. He was an art director on a couple projects that I wasn't on. Unfortunately, didn't actually get to work with you, except for like maybe one sort of illustration. I think
Mhm.
there was one time you got to give us art direction.
There was a couple things,
Yeah.
but we didn't really
Yeah.
have the pleasure.
Which is, unfortunate, but still got to hang out and, just pal around.
Yeah, it was
And-
great.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed my time there, specifically because of people like you and Andre and the rest of the crowd.
Yeah.
Everyone, you can't really name them all, but seriously, that whole group over there, extremely talented
Mm.
and just fun to talk to, like fun to be around. We'd laugh at a bunch of stuff, and we all knew what we were laughing at, and
Yeah.
we would draw, and on the whiteboard, you should have seen our whiteboard. Have you guys talked about the whiteboard yet?
We have a new one at our place.
We do have a
But,
very
yeah.
good. I will show you
If
a
you
picture
have
of it.
photos of your machines on whiteboards, though, I'd like
Somebody,
to see that.
if I don't, I know at least Linda might.
Mhm.
Actually, I'm sure that Linda has because I remember she took pictures and she had like a repository.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
She did.
she's the most organized of
Oh
us
my
all.
gosh, my favorite illustration that was on the whiteboard at MZ was Katie Fortune's Sloth Linda.
Oh,
if you
that was
guys
amazing.
if you guys can find it,
I'm sure
please send it to
somebody
me.
has it.
That thing is legendary.
As soon as we find all this will be included in the link dump.
Okay, good.
And also, this is something that's been pointed out to me before. So for anybody who's listening to this for the first time, or maybe not as familiar, MZ stands for Machine Zone.
Oh, right.
It's a mobile game company.
Yeah, you know what? Let's do a recap.
A recap.
I know we don't. Like, Josh used to work at Machine Zone. A lot of the guests he brings on are from his time at Machine Zone.
Yes.
You know, just a lot of people were at Machine Zone, period.
That's a good point. Like, if you were working in, like, mobile games or games, I guess, in general, just in the Bay Area, just so many people went through Machine Zone at some point or another.
Dude, I met people from Machine Zone that I didn't even know worked at Machine Zone.
Really?
And they're on my team now at
Wow.
WB.
Wow.
So, just a ton of people worked there. Like, there's even engineers who came from MZ who work at my office.
It's crazy how small things are, because even waiting, like, at the Caltrain station, like going up to San Francisco now for my current job, like, I see people with Machine Zone, like, swag. I mean, they're not working at Machine Zone; they're up in the city.
Yeah.
But it's like, man, people have gone through.
That's you too.
And I mean, I'm still wearing the
yeah.
But that's because Glue hasn't given me a new backpack because they ran out. So I'm using the old MZ one.
You have no choice.
Yeah.
You know, I kept my Machine Zone backpack for a long time. And I kept it on my chair at WB, and one of the executives walks by, looks at it and says, "We got to get you a new backpack." He walks away, and like my other Machine Zone.
I wish somebody would say that at Glue.
Well, on that note, do you want to talk a little bit about yourself, Alan?
Me?
Where you are now?
Sure. So currently, I work at WB as the creative director. And I run a team that's sort of like a central services for all the mobile games and console games. Basically, if a game studio needs help, they'll reach out to us for any creative support. So I get to see things like Mortal Kombat 11, Game of Thrones Conquest, as well as some of the Injustice games and Lego games. It's really fun to just have my hands in all the different games. And I have a talented group working under me, 3D animators, modelers, video editors, illustrators. It's just a great crowd of people.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And like, I don't know how much you can talk about this, but like, what kind of like feedback do people need from you guys, or like what kind of work do they ask from you?
It all ranges. It could even be like in-game art. A lot of times it's just marketing ads, trailers. There's a lot of video work that comes out. We do user acquisition for a lot of our titles. So what that means is we create the ads, we run them, we test them, and based on the data, we'll iterate upon that. And I had never been so closely part of the user acquisition side, and it's really refreshing because you kind of see the difference that your team is making, rather than when you're working in a studio, you're putting all your chips into hoping that this game is going to run well. It's kind of interesting just to see how well you can help a game do well, and how much money you can bring in. So it's the first time for me. So
you get to like see an immediate, almost like
exactly
impact.
Yeah, like if you did a trailer last week and we put it live on Friday, that following Friday we could have metrics to see whether that is going to be a good one that we should iterate upon and keep pushing out into more areas, or whether it's not making shit and you just stop it, pull it out, because you don't want to spend money on stuff that's not working.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is really cool.
Yeah, I wasn't really aware of the scope of like the team you're on right now.
Yeah,
you got your like hands in all these things.
It is a little bit crazy, but I think working at Machine Zone equipped me with the ability to have many hats and do a lot of things. Yeah. The cool thing about WB is they have a good work-life balance. My boss is really cool. She lets me work from home if I need to, and that's great since I'm raising a family. She is all about results and data. So like everything you do has like a legitimate purpose to it. It's not like where your director or your leader comes in and says, "I need this and this and this," but he or she doesn't really know why he or she needs it.
Yeah.
Like it's really refreshing to be around a team and have a boss that's like that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. Especially when you're, I mean, we have both have experience working in live games,
Mhm.
and I think that's an environment where that comes into play a lot, where you have like, I mean, stuff is running right then and there, so it's good to have somebody who cares about the whether or not it's necessary instead of just like throwing stuff out there, like throwing spaghetti and seeing what sticks to the wall.
That's true.
Yeah.
I will have to say the new challenges that I've faced recently in this new role hasn't been anything about my team or my department, but it's mostly about seeking approvals from people who own the brands, such as Game of Thrones. HBO is really tough on things. They're very strict about what you can and can't do with their artwork, so that's been a challenge.
I think that's really consistent with IPs, isn't it?
Absolutely. And NetherRealm, who does Mortal Kombat, just released Mortal Kombat 11 on Tuesday.
Oh,
Looks
it's already
awesome.
out?
You guys should go
Oh
get
man,
one.
I'm losing track of things. I want to play it.
Yeah, it looks great. And it is great. It's a great game. But seeking approval on things for like character art, Scorpion, Sub-Zero is like impossible. It's tough because I think everyone's doing their job, but there's just so many people owning that decision that it gets to be kind of crazy. But overall, having that ability to work on such an awesome IP has been just wonderful.
Yeah. It almost outweighs the headaches, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
I mean that was sort of like I got to see a little bit of it with Final Fantasy 15 when we were doing that at MZ. I'm sure you've seen some stuff with Covet and the Disney like tie-ins.
Oh man,
I haven't had to deal with it personally there yet. So
because like for Disney, you go through each like franchise or whatever has its own representative. So it's like it's not just one person. If like you want to deal with like Cinderella, you're gonna talk to someone else than if you were to deal with like Pocahontas or something.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That makes so
I'm
much
dreading when it's my turn to take on one of those tasks. But it's okay. It's not like it's anything new to me. The number of times that we've had to make sure that Noctis looks right or whatever.
Oh right, Final Fantasy.
And it's not even like, I guess we didn't even have the biggest deal with that. I guess like the marketing team.
But they needed you for your anime hair, right?
I've heard about this.
Why? I don't know why they like thought that I was so good at anime hair. I guess I am.
You are.
According to other people. I don't agree with them, but
Extremely skilled at the anime hair.
yeah. I just happened upon something that worked first.
You got the right brushes.
Yeah, I got the right brushes. And I had to give like a demo. I was just like, I don't know what I did.
Nice.
I thought it was great.
Thank
Josh
you.
has given demos and like skill shares at Glute too.
I don't know how
That's
useful
awesome.
that is. Yeah.
It's useful.
We got those like
Oh, right.
workshops or whatever once a month.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, you should do something about digital painting. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anime hair.
No, don't. Oh, fuck, they're gonna listen to this though. I'm not gonna do an anime hair demo. I'll do anything else.
How to paint anime Guy Fieri hair.
No.
You know what you should do? Just a character design demo. I mean, it doesn't have to be about the hair. It could just be about designing a cool gear set or whatever.
Yeah, that's something I know more than anime hair.
Yeah, you made a ton of gear sets.
Oh man.
Wow, I haven't even seen those.
Oh really? Okay, I'll show you some later.
Yeah.
They're
Post
beautiful.
it.
But yeah, and we'll post it. I put together like a compilation of the Final Fantasy ones that I think is still in my portfolio. I into the sands of time, I lost most of the Game of Thrones one. Or Game of Thrones? Fuck my head. Game of War. Sorry, you said Game of Thrones earlier, and that's what.
I feel like
you know,
Game
it's
of
Friday.
War had a lot of Game of Thrones elements in it. Do you remember that chair? The seat of power.
Oh, that
like
was
the
definitely like they must have talked about the Iron Throne when like designing that stuff originally. It was before my time. I feel like even like, that's just been there.
So was the whole thing about Game of Thrones, but just Game of War?
I mean, you know as well as I do, like the struggle that Game of War had with its own identity. Yeah. What was it? Was it Greek? Was it fantasy? Was it, yeah.
You know, it ended up being everything.
It ended up being everything, exactly. And then they tried to pull back, and then they went back to everything. And, yeah, it was like I feel like a lot of Greek stuff, when it started, it was like, 300. This,
you know what? And I think it ended up way better than it started.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you embrace everything, there's a lot more chances cool things can come out.
Yeah.
Whether versus making it just all about Greek stuff, then you're stuck with just the Greek stuff.
Yeah.
You can't do any other empires, which is boring.
Yeah. You run out of material really fast.
That's right.
And that's why, when they expanded, it got more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that we might have gone too far where they had to pull back at some point. I was there when they went too far. I was doing like gnome pirates.
Okay, that's a little weird.
It was a little weird, right? But they asked me to make a gnome pirate avatar set, so that's what I did.
Interesting.
And
wasn't there like a pink slipper or something asset?
A pink slipper?
I think it was for Mobile Strike.
Oh.
They wanted like some stilettos or something, and like what? The request I think came from above. And
I want to hear this.
Like, it's legendary. People told me about it, and I never really saw them. I just heard about them, but like it was this asset, I think, gear, and it sold like a ton.
Really?
Just for being pink stilettos or something like that.
If it was Mobile Strike, that would have been like so whack compared to everything else.
Yeah, I mean, don't quote me on it, but
I mean, maybe it sold a lot because it was so different.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's all you have to do sometimes. I thought you were going to talk about the sandals that were like... I don't remember. We were like going through like old outsourced stuff like a long, long time ago. Mm-hmm. Like stuff that's either not even in there or been replaced by now. And it's just like, there was like a gear set that was like a single sandal. Like... When like the standard was for footwear or like for feet armor or feet pieces or whatever, it's like you have to see both. And like the outsourcers just gave a single sandal that was like the worst looking thing ever, and we were just all laughing at it. But I did personally meet with Santa Cruz students during GDC week. They came over or whatever, and I think I mentioned this in a previous episode.
Yes, you did.
I talked to them personally, and I feel like gave them maybe some advice.
You know what? The Santa Cruz art program might be bad, and it might not be bad. You might have just had like the worst teachers.
It could be that I had personal bad experience.
Yeah, Josh made that point where it's like it is what you make it out to be.
That's true. It could be that I just didn't. I got out what I put in, and maybe I just didn't put in the right stuff, or enough.
That's a good way to look at it. I think.
Yeah, it could be my fault.
It's not your fault.
Okay.
It's just the situation you were given.
Yeah, it could be my lack of knowledge, or just like.
No, you should be proud to have come from Santa Cruz, because Santa Cruz is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I had a good time there. It's just looking back on it with everything that I know now, and everything that I know is out there as a resource. Mm-hmm. Looking back at my experience there, I know what was missing. And that's why I talk so much shit about it. Immediately coming out of Santa Cruz, I didn't have the same opinion that I do now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Alan, do you want to talk about your history? And you can go as far back as you want.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, you could even talk about when you knew you were going to be an artist, when you were drawing with crayons or what have you.
Drawing with crayons. I have been drawing for as long as I can remember. Mm-hmm. I think the earliest drawing that I can remember was... You remember Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, or are you guys too young?
No,
okay.
I know.
Okay,
I watched it.
I didn't watch it, actually.
Okay, so Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood had the trolley who went to Fantasyland, or Make-Believe, Land of Make-Believe, I think it's called. And there's a castle there with a king and a queen, and there's a bunch of little stuffed animal characters, and I remember really liking that. And I think that is the first illustration that I remember drawing. And I drew it inside the cover of a photo album that my mom had, and she got really mad at me.
I was gonna say, were you forbidden to do that?
Yeah. It was with a blue Bic ink pen.
Oh, nice. Wow.
But I have been drawing for as long as I remember. My brother was an artist, I was an artist. I think we kind of helped each other grow in that sense through just, influencing each other, competing with each other, just being inspired by one another. We used to draw comic books as kids, and it got to the point where like they looked so good that my brother was like, "Oh, we should make photocopies," and we just handed them out to friends and stuff like that.
That's
so
awesome.
It was a fun time for sure. I had a lot of great people in my life to encourage art. I wish I could say my parents, but no, my parents were totally against it. And they were
Is there anyone else in your family who's an artist? That like,
Yes.
besides your brother, like.
Yes, I have cousins that are artists, cousins that are
I guess
used to be artists.
Generationally, though.
Oh, generationally.
Yeah.
Yes. My grandmother was really big into Chinese calligraphy and also watercolor illustration. I remember as a kid watching her do it, and I got immediately inspired, and I started doing it on my own with my Crayola watercolor packs. I remember in middle school, I had a great art teacher. He inspired me a lot too. He got me directly into watercoloring, 1-point, 2-point perspective. He taught me a lot of stuff.
Wow.
And he was a great encouraging person. Probably the reason why I decided to go into art, because there was no one else who was encouraging me to go that route at all. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
that's super nice to like have all that encouragement and like influence in the family. Yeah.
I still visit him today. He lives in Pleasant Hill.
Oh,
just right by the school where he taught me, and sometimes just stop by to say hello or exchange gifts and stuff. So
nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Where is Pleasant Hill? Like, what area did you grow up in?
Well, during middle school, I lived in Martinez, which is by Pleasant Hill. If you don't know where that is, it's by Walnut Creek. If you don't know where Walnut Creek is, it's past Oakland. Let's just say that.
Okay.
Oh, it's on that side.
Yeah, it's on the east side.
I always think it's on this side, but it's not. Okay.
Yeah.
There's more cities in between there and Oakland, but I just figure you're not going to know. So I just said Oakland.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bay Area geography portion of the podcast.
Everyone pull up your maps.
Yeah. But I ended up going to school at the Academy of Art, like many, many students. And I could say Academy is a great school.
Then yeah, we'll say that.
Yeah, it's tough to judge because, like I said, it's not really who. It's all about like what type of teachers you had, and all about how much you applied yourself. It's very true for the Academy of Art as well. Yeah. There's such a variety of different teachers with different types of talent.
Yeah, and the cast of teachers is something that changes a lot, right?
But I do have to say, the illustration department there is very good. Not specifically because of any certain teacher, but I think they have a really good director. His name is Chuck Pyle, and he's been doing it for like years and years and years. And I think the reason why that department has been so successful is because of how strong of a leader he is. He's a figure drawing teacher, like a clothed figure drawing teacher, and he runs the whole department, and he has like multiple classes at the same time. So I think, judging by that, being how busy he is, it's pretty amazing about what he can do.
That's cool.
Wow.
Do you know if he still teaches?
He's still there.
Okay.
He's still a teacher, still doing his clothed figure drawing.
Do you visit him and exchange gifts?
You know what? I should. I am going to see Chuck in about a month. I will see him. I'm going to the graduation ceremony there. So
cool. All right.
It'll be good to see him.
Just from like, I didn't go to the Academy of Art, but met so many people who have, or who are going, or mostly who've gone there. Yeah, so like when I was back at MZ for that bit contracting, a lot of people talking about their experiences at Academy of Art and how it's like doing now. I guess like the illustration department is like a lot different than what it used to be.
Oh, really?
They were trying to explain it. I don't remember all the details, so I'm going to flub it up, and I probably shouldn't even bring it up since I will spread it misinformation. But like, I guess a lot of it has shifted over to like concept art / visual development or whatever. Like the classes that used to be in illustration. So like now, like the way that the illustration department is like different than what it used to be.
I was there, and when I graduated, I sort of saw it trending that way.
Okay.
There was a lot more visual development classes going on. People stopped taking the traditional stuff, and they were all about digital. We had Pixar employees come in to teach classes and stuff like that, so it was trending towards that direction.
So it could be that it kept going afterwards.
Probably. I mean, the industry is trending that way anyway, and everyone is seeing all this beautiful art, and they're like, "Oh, I want to do that." Screw painting on canvases. But I was very much a traditional painter in college. I did not touch digital stuff till I left college. There was some classes here and there that required us to do digital painting, but I was nowhere near familiar with those tools as I am with them today.
Right.
And it was tough in the beginning because I'm a watercolor acrylic painter, and I liked oil, but it just got too messy. I just love traditional medium because it just feels better to me. But I found myself being forced to learn digital mediums because of games.
Yeah. That's how that industry is.
Yeah. Like, what jobs were you looking at when you graduated?
I kind of lucked out. I had landed a job at Playdom Disney before I had even graduated. So.
And this is and you had a portfolio, right? Like.
Yes, I had like a blog. You remember those?
Yeah.
Blogspot.
I had a blog spot.
I never even had one of those. This is before my time.
And luckily, one of the art directors at Playdom saw my work through an employee who referred me. And
network.
Yeah, just
so important.
Yeah, luckily they liked my stuff and brought me in as they called it a graphic artist. And what I was tasked to do was paint girls' dresses for a game called Sorority Life.
Oh, wow, that's so applicable to our current experience.
Yeah. And believe it or not, I was stoked.
Yeah.
I was so happy that I got to paint dresses. And I did. I painted the hell out of those dresses.
Digitally, though, right?
Digitally, for sure. It was really tough in the beginning.
Yeah, like, how did you learn how to do digital?
It was probably just a lot of trial and error. I had not known about pressure sensitivity till about like a few months in.
Oh, wow.
So all my lines were like as if you're doing full-on pressure with a crayon. There was no sensitivity.
That's awesome. It's really funny.
But, you can appreciate how my mind was blown when I figured out you could click shape dynamics with pen pressure.
I mean, that's kind of when I started learning stuff digitally. Well, it was on Flash to begin with, and I was with a mouse. So, the shift of having a mouse to getting my first Intuos tablet, it's probably that same, like, mind blow.
Like, you painted with a mouse?
I would,
You were remiss to say painted.
Exactly. That's a good word that I wouldn't have thought of. But,
I will have to say, though, being from a traditional art background, I feel it really helps in your digital work.
Yeah.
Extremely. And specifically with, like, color and value. Like, if you know how dark something needs to be with your charcoal, you're going to know immediately how black something needs to be on your digital canvas. As well as, like, when you're applying paint with, like, a traditional medium, you're being conscious about the temperature of the paint that you're using to make sure that it's conveying the type of light that's being shown. If you practice that enough, you won't have to like just paint whatever in digital and then just hue shift it to make it feel right. You'll just do it. You'll just know what color to put. So I really strongly believe that any artist should always focus on their traditional stuff early in their art career because it'll always help.
That's what I tell like people who are still learning. Like, I don't know. I feel like I've given that advice a couple times to like art students, and they always like think it's surprising. Like, oh, we shouldn't learn digital right away. I'm like, no, learn painting first. It's better.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah,
they struggle. Trust me. Like I've seen a lot of artists be very good with the technical stuff, but they can't apply their traditional knowledge because it's sort of lacking in that area. So their work ends up looking as if they know how to do all the technical stuff, but they lack the fundamental skills.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, continue your...
Oh, yeah. So college was tough because I'm a very competitive artist, and there was a ton of very talented people all around me. It was an extremely humbling experience. Plus, my brother went to school during the same time as me, and he was better than me.
Did he go to Academy of Art as well?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I was curious because you mentioned you guys both had like kind of the same experience growing up, so I was wondering if you guys continued that path.
Yeah. My brother is an extremely talented artist and animator. He's worked on all the big films at Pixar ever since like 12 years ago.
Wow.
He is just extremely good at drawing.
It's the same exact way with my brother, except my brother was at ILM.
Oh, yeah. Oh my goodness.
Is he your older brother?
He is. He's older by like a year and a half.
Oh, so. My brother's older by like 10.
Nice. But yeah, he was in school with me. It made it extremely difficult because when you're surrounded by a bunch of people who are just way better than you, it hurts your confidence. And you need confidence to grow. So just searching for that confidence throughout the years of my life in college was one challenge that I remember very, very clearly. I heard about the dropout rate before I got in, and it's super high. But then at the same time, I heard about the rate of getting a job, which is also extremely high. So everyone who gets to the top, they do find a job. But that amount of people is very small. I guess that's what they were trying to say.
Yeah. The cream rises to the top.
Yes. Creme de la creme.
But despite how humbling it was a great experience because of that humility. Being around talented people only helps you to grow and to aim higher than what you are right now. A lot of my colleagues or fellow students went on to direct motion pictures, work on huge games, and yeah, I am so glad that I went to school with these people because I feel that I wouldn't be who I am without have seen them grow as they did. So I really appreciated college. It's really expensive, but I think it's totally worth it, especially because if you're going to be doing this for the rest of your life, you might as well gather as much knowledge as you can during those 4 or 5 years.
Interesting take, because we have had this conversation on the podcast before.
Yeah, I reflect on a lot. I've heard about that where people say, "Oh, you don't need a degree; it doesn't matter." I didn't disagree with that, but I just wanted to bring a different perspective on, hey, school could be good for you. Yeah, could be good for some people who need that structure, who need that class at 10 a.m. or 9 a.m. to get their ass out of bed, because without it, you would just do it on your own time and eventually not do it because you're a procrastinator. So school has its benefits for sure. And if you have the right teachers and the right attitude to learn, there's literally nothing that can stop you. I have proof of that with my fellow students who made it really, really big. So
yeah, same. I feel like I learned by example, I guess, and seeing everyone else and how hard they worked and what they could accomplish made me see okay, I think I can do that too.
I had that splash, that sort of bucket of cold water splashed on me when I got into NZ and I got some real competition, or just sense of that, at least, being in a room full of extreme talent. Yeah, where that didn't exist for me in Santa Cruz. So actual real motive to improve, which I saw that happen firsthand at later in the game for myself. But yeah, and what's also good is, and when you're around a bunch of people who are talented, it humbles you, right? Oh yeah. And also when you know you're not great at something, you'll seek to get better at it naturally. Yeah. And you won't think you're the best, and that understanding will position yourself to absorb more skills. Yeah. And I think it's a good thing to be around extremely talented people. Yeah. So for prospective students who want to do this stuff, I want you to take this episode and play this part to your parents to convince them to help you pay for art school. You know what they should be doing? Any parents who have talented kids, work on their portfolio now. Ooh. And just make it a project for yourself so that you won't have to pay for it. Just say, my student here, or my son or daughter here is extremely talented. Here is their portfolio that I helped them make, and aim for that scholarship, and then you'll be good, right? That's a good idea. Yeah,
are you going to be in that boat in a couple of years?
I don't know. We'll see.
I know you have a family.
Yeah. I have an amazing daughter who
she's been doing some good art from
she's a
what I've
super
seen.
Talented artist. Yeah. I'm a little scared of what that's going to turn into, but I'm also extremely proud of her, and I say that I'm scared because I don't want her to lose that passion. She comes home and she draws until she goes to sleep. On Saturday mornings, she doesn't watch cartoons, she just starts drawing comics. Wow. So she
drawing comics just like you.
Exactly. She's not making panels. She's like one whole page is the panel, so she's wasting a ton of paper.
You need to get her an iPad Pro.
Yeah, exactly.
Get her on that right away, yeah.
But we could talk more about art and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only in our podcast.
I mean, working in the industry for about, how long has it been? Like 10 years or so?
Don't ask
It's got to be almost 12 years or so.
It's a lot of experience.
Yeah.
Just means I'm old. I haven't really done much with my career.
No, you're seasoned.
Yeah.
But I guess I could talk a little bit about the challenges and the benefits of being an art director.
Yeah, because
director.
you had mentioned a little bit about that to me before, like your sort of own personal philosophy on art directing. And I definitely wanted to get your thoughts.
That's tough because I probably forgot all that stuff.
I remember a little bit if you need a refresher.
No.
I was like, that's good. I remember saying to you, like, oh, save it for the podcast.
Yeah. I feel that
we were getting Chinese food. It was good.
Oh, that's right.
We got to get lunch more.
That was some good food, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I do think that being an AD has a lot of challenges, but also some benefits as well. Biggest challenges that I've faced have always been managing the team, because managing the team and just making art, they're two different things, right?
Yeah.
You're managing the people to make the art and you're approving the stuff. So there's a lot of different emotions and opinions going on because artists are super sensitive people.
Yes.
Yeah.
We just had this conversation recently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, artists are
like literally a little bit today.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're extremely sensitive people, but also with varying personalities. So as a manager of people like that, or manager of a department like that, you really need to gauge everyone because everyone responds differently. Everyone receives that sort of direction differently and takes it in a very specific way. So I think when you start a new art directing job, the first half of it is just learning your people and boundaries not to step across or ways to deliver feedback. Some people like just straight up tell me it sucks, tell me what sucks, tell me what's good. Other people like you to, brush up on what is good about it, what's working, and then sort of ease into the criticism or the constructive part of it. So learning that is always kind of tough because people often don't look like how they act. Like, you can't judge a book by its cover ever, especially in an art department.
Yeah.
You just kind of have to feel it out, ease into the directing part of it. And I think that's one of the challenges that I saw very early. Also, other people...
Was that something you were prepared for? Like, are you a people person, or did you have to, like, learn to read people, or were you always sensitive to that?
Me being an artist, of course, very sensitive to that. I never tell anyone straight up that something sucks. That you never do that to any human being. But I am very sensitive on how I deliver feedback to certain people. I want to help them understand what my vision is, not necessarily help them to understand what I want. Just, basically we all want to get this job done. And I think they just want clear, concise information on how to get there. And I think a lot of people appreciate it that way. But the way you deliver it is so important.
Yeah.
People respond better when they are first presented with what is working and then eased into what can be improved or why it's not meeting the criteria. But on the other hand, there's other people who just like, hey, I don't care about the sugarcoating. Just tell me what you want me to do. Yeah.
That's true. I definitely, personally, I prefer that first way. But I know there's, I appreciate the way you do things because there are directors who don't do that, who just jump right into tear it apart. Like, let's cut the bullshit. Here's why it sucks, this and that, and which doesn't work with everybody. That. Yeah,
I do appreciate that because I do try my best to serve as an art director rather than be served as an art director. I think the job is very important to facilitate everything that people need, and that includes encouragement. You're not going to get anywhere like being a jerk as a leader.
Right.
You've got to get them on your side, which is tough sometimes because as a boss, you're never really the friend. Like, no matter how much you want to be. Some people embrace it. They love being the villain, but I'm a people person, kind of. I like to be liked. So it's always been a challenge for me when, like, I know that, like, they're probably pissed at me for giving them all this feedback. So it's tough in that sense. But I make sure to remember that I'm there to serve. If great things are asked about their work, they're going to get the credit for it. I'm not going to take the credit. If bad things happen about their work or bad criticism happens about it, I'll own it. So
that's so fucking admirable.
I know, right?
It is tough though, because like I said, artists are all so different, and that's what makes work interesting though. So it's challenges that make life interesting, and
those challenges all terrify me. So,
and let me talk about the benefits real quick, though.
Yeah.
The benefits are huge, because I had the privilege of working with talented artists and being inspired by them. I feel like I've gotten better just because I'm art directing people and giving feedback on stuff and seeing your guys' work evolve into things that are in my vision, but you created. It's beautiful, and it's
cool.
It's very inspiring. And another benefit is my artwork is always mine. And that's very, very important to me. It's so good to be able to separate your personal work from your actual work, and you not have to really draw for your personal work. You're just giving feedback and drawing on other people's stuff. But when you draw as an art director, it's always yours, and it's your own time. Art is a very personal thing. And I think that our artists who are art directors should embrace that. Like, see work as helping other people, but when you're doing your artwork, you do it at home. You do it on your own time, and that's yours to enjoy. No one's telling you how to do it. You own it. And I think that's another benefit of being an art director.
Yeah, I can totally appreciate that. Because when you're working as, like, in the technical term is individual contributor, right? Yeah, you're doing someone else's work.
It's true.
That can and speaking and like the perspective of the individual artist who is, you know, receiving the art direction and stuff like that. You got to keep your sanity by, you know, having your own personal work that isn't art directed by people in your own time, because it can sort of like be a crisis of identity if you do only work at work, and then you're like, well, what's my voice? Do I have a voice anymore? Yeah,
absolutely.
So
I do sympathize with artists, though, because some people just get lost into their work at work, and that just becomes their work. And like you said, it becomes their identity when that's not what should happen.
Yeah.
They're burnt out by the time they go home because they've been drawing all day, drawing something that they never really had passion for in the beginning in the first place. That's a tough thing to go through, and I always try to think about that and encourage people to work on their personal stuff. Even if it's a little bit during work time, like, I never bat an eye. If they're practicing their work, that's all going to benefit the company anyway. Like, we need you to be sharp. We need you guys to grow in your own sense. So
yeah,
I think it's extremely important to do personal work.
Yeah, that's awesome. We just started doing that sort of like officially, even, and then like our we got like an enrichment hour.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's supposed to be an hour where you kind of learn a skill. But
I take it as I get to do whatever I want.
Yeah, to, like, you know, go towards work, but yeah.
And it's all applicable. If I'm working on my personal art,
but
I'm staying sharp.
Yeah, painting is staying sharp.
Yeah.
And also,
you learn with every piece you do. So
that's true.
And happy. Isn't it important to keep your artist happy?
Yes, it is, and it's very difficult to make everyone happy.
Oh God, it's impossible.
It is tough.
Make 100% people happy 50% of the time. 50% of people happy 100% of the time.
Yeah,
there's a bit of hallmark wisdom for you.
And with all the personalities on your team, it's always very difficult to remain humble and keep your pride down, because you need to do that. The moment that you become too prideful, you'll make some wrong decisions. You'll make decisions that weren't worth making, because you'll lose the respect and goodwill of your team. and that is when you start losing.
Wow. Yeah.
I know, right?
I know. I almost can't follow up on this. It's just so good.
I know.
So much goodness here.
I'm trying to learn. I want to learn. I don't want to run a podcast right now. I just want to listen to this lecture.
We're both like the same as our like listeners right now. We're just like sitting there. Like,
I do not want this to feel like a lecture. I'm sorry.
No. It's like it's not a lecture. It's just like you're like having a casual conversation where all of a sudden you get like a wisdom dump. Yeah. Which happens sometimes.
Let's talk about art processes then.
Sure.
Okay.
Can you tell me a little bit about your art process?
Oh shit, dude! You put me on the spot. So just like in like general like personal work. I mean, so what I like to do a lot of is character design, and more and more sort of as I was working is just illustrations in general as well. But character design is really where I'm at. And the processes that I've gone through has like changed over the years. I used to do like a lot of thumbnailing like silhouettes first before even coming up with like anything beyond like what the character design is or like what the purpose of it, function of it is or whatever. Just like make cool shapes first, which is still kind of a cool like approach to it, but like now I think more about the function of things first, which leads me to do a lot more like sketching, like line drawing before like coming up with like cool shapes. So yeah, but yeah, sketching phase I think is one of my most fun or like the process that I'm most interested in is like ideation and like doing all that sort of concept. Like really, really like rough stuff first, and yeah, I keep saying that working grayscale first sucks, but I keep doing it first. So as soon as I start like rendering stuff, I always start rendering by accident. Like, oh, I've already gone this far in grayscale, so I just start rendering grayscale.
That's cool.
And then I always add color later, and then I have to paint over all that. So yeah, that's sort of my process is like. Rough, sketching, grayscale. I have like all these different ways that I add color now.
Okay.
I learned a lot from like doing stuff in Game of War.
Yes.
A lot of like techniques from Edgar and Harris.
Those guys are talented.
They're very talented. I wish I could be as talented as they are.
Oh man,
that's where I shoot for. Is like they were the bar they set, and I feel like both of them are still. Like they still have that bar that I can shoot for.
Like I said, being around talented people just helps you be inspired and helps you grow as well.
Yeah. So yeah, and then I just that's sort of my process for characters in a really really rough like rundown.
I can picture it in my head every step.
Yeah.
That's very structured. It's going to be very different from what I'm about to say.
Okay, but
what about you?
Yeah.
Well, I've talked about this before, but like. Me and my art, it's very closely tied to like my mental health. And like for so long I just censored my own art just because like I don't know, like I couldn't figure out so much like doubt and just so much stuff going on in my head where it was just like I don't know, like I couldn't do it. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't draw anything, or like if I drew anything it wouldn't be anything that like I cared about. Like that's why I think school was really good for me. So, like, being in school, I had to complete my assignments. And basically, that was all I did was, like, just my assignments. And I, like, you know, I thought I was doing, like, personal work and stuff, but I never did. Because I feel like I didn't allow myself to, like, figure out what it was. I was always self-censoring myself. So, like, when in school, when I tried to do personal work, I would always be thinking of, like, getting a job, right? Or like, oh, this doesn't really look like what I see my peers are doing. So, like, maybe I need to be doing that. So that's why, like, it's not until recently I've been kind of, like, getting any kind of semblance of any kind of process. But I think what's most important to me when I try to do art is just self-expression, which is why I'm like, I don't know if I don't think I can do like concept art, because that's like a lot of like iteration and stuff and like getting things and like designing, And lately I just really want to explore like self-expression, and I just like I don't want to censor myself anymore. I just want to like put something on the page and like see what happens. Yeah, and that's just kind of what I've been trying to figure out. Like I don't want to talk too much about it.
I was gonna ask if we could bring it up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. I don't know.
Because you did draw like a comic or graphic novel type thing.
Oh, really?
I did.
It was very personal, so I'm not
personal.
sure how much you want to talk about it.
We don't have to talk about the content, but I did that.
Yeah. So
was it all digital or?
It was digital. Yeah. I mean, I don't care for like the art style or whatever. It was more of like I'm in this mood right now. I have something I want to say. I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna do it. It's just gonna like pour out of me. And I did. And I did.
It definitely it felt like that. It felt like it was just pouring emotions onto the page.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I think in that way, I think it was successful.
That is so awesome.
Yeah, but like, like I would love to do that in a more structured way. Because like the way I painted it, or like drew it, whatever, I just did. I used like 3 colors too, and then and that was it. But like I would love to revisit that in a more structured way. And
I think if you executed it in a very free way, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, being more structured, if it makes you feel like you're doing it better, sure, by all means. But I think it's important to do it intuitively and just express yourself like you mentioned earlier. And it's very important to do that kind of stuff because working in the industry, we get so caught up in who we are as far as our job roles and forget that we're all artists who express ourselves in very different ways. And good for you. That's amazing.
Thank you.
I wish I could do more stuff like that.
Yeah.
I want to do more stuff like that.
I feel like tying that back into the question of like the process, working in the industry so long, maybe we get too caught up in our process. We find processes that work and make us efficient at the job we do, and maybe we don't need to be so structured in our own personal work.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that thing where people are afraid to merge their layers.
Yeah.
Some people hate it. Some people can't do a painting without it.
Yeah.
But
it's weird. I can think of 2 people personally I know
who you're talking about.
The exact
opposite
ends of the spectrum. Yeah.
Why do you always do that? Why do you always do that? You know what?
I can name them.
Here's a compromise. Copy all, paste all, group your layers, and then there's your flat layer and your layers below if you need them.
That's what I do. That's what I do.
And then you'll find yourself never needing those layers again.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then like, it's you can Marie Kondo your Photoshop files. It's like okay.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's like, okay, I haven't touched this group in a while. I guess I can delete it.
Yeah. Does it bring happiness? No, delete it.
Spark joy.
Spark joy. That was it.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to like how you feel comfortable as an artist. That individual who likes to work on flattened layers probably had a traditional background where he wasn't used to things being in layers, and if he needs to redraw something, he's happy to do it because he knows that it's going to be that much better when he does it twice. Photoshop is a very powerful tool where you copy and paste whatever and make it into its own layer anyway. So with the knowledge of Bezier curves and lasso tools, you don't really lose much. You just got to repaint stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think it could work both ways.
Yeah. You hear that, Harris and Linda?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you both know I was talking about you. It's good memories though of those like discussions.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I feel like I went into my first job, which was MZ. I went in not really knowing what Photoshop could do. I thought I did. And then as soon as I got there, do you know how to do this? Or this? Or this? Or this? Or this? I'm like, well, I knew you could clip a layer onto another layer. And that's about it.
Hey, that's a very important tool.
That's it. It is. But
everyone uses it, right? That thing is, man, legendary.
Yeah.
You know, Procreate, you could do it now.
Procreate's getting really good, actually.
It is.
Do you use Procreate, Alex?
Yes, I do.
You've made some badass stuff on.
I don't know about badass, but I use
it
before I sleep. I paint and then I fall asleep.
It's amazing. I wish I could work like that. I wish I could just like. I'm so fucking lazy. It's just I feel like I have to like put myself in the mood.
You're not
in the right
you need to
mind
light some
space.
candles.
No, not that. Not that. That's not what I meant. I meant like in the right mind space to like okay, I'm in art mode now, and then like it's like I feel like a lot of people are just like always in art mode.
Yeah. Or sorry, not to cut you off, but like going back to process, I just want to like widen the scope and like just creative process in general. I'm trying to like chase the inspiration. It's like some days I feel like writing and I'll write something. Some days I feel like drawing and I'll like draw something. But like before I used to be like I committed to being like a visual development artist so I can only like paint. Yeah, so I would like force myself to like paint even if I didn't feel like it. But like these days, just trying to allow myself to do what I want.
That's good.
Do you guys feel like your best work is your personal work?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I have no good professional work or like industry work. I don't know, but best work is personal work.
I don't know. This with having like as much stuff as I did professionally, like there's some really good stuff that I did for work. So it goes back and forth. But the thing is, I always think with the professional stuff. Could have done it better if it was up to me. Like if there was a decision that was up to me instead of someone else, like it would have been that much better. So I can't help but remove that sort of like ego. Some situations, not all. Sometimes I get art direction that made it infinitely better. So I definitely like had that experience.
Awesome.
And like some of the stuff that I did for Game of War, for example, just getting feedback from some of the people there. It's like, oh man, what if you did this? Like, what if you like increase like the Z depth, made the hand bigger, this or that, and then I like look at it afterwards. I'm like, fuck, that's way better. Like I would have never thought of that. Like,
nice.
So, yeah, but it influences your personal work. So I feel like whatever I do today is going to be better than what I did before.
Yeah,
that's true. It's really tough to be assigned something and find pleasure in doing it.
Yeah.
Especially if it's something that you're completely not interested in. My mobile strike team at MZ just absolutely hated working on military stuff, and I felt so bad that the team was structured that way.
Yeah.
I probably could have tried a little harder to move things around, but as you know, Machine Zone had its politics, and
that's true.
It was not easy to make anything happen that's supposed to happen. They literally try to do everything backwards.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about it before. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can we get into why you think that happened?
I mean, well,
is it about money? Is it always about money? I don't know.
I mean,
I have no idea.
If you go far enough, everything's about money.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was about money.
But like, how would that make more money or whatever?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't really, but that's what they think. And I wouldn't say the art department there had the best leadership for a while. They had some good people in place, but very important roles in the art department were taken by people who saw some different views and didn't really function the way most people might think is the best way they should function. But I think what is amazing is how well the artists coped with it and actually kept the machine running despite all that situation.
It's true. It was for a long time just a real all-star cast.
Yeah,
I think so.
We had extremely talented people, all the way from 3D to concept. Andre Mina,
name drop.
Kelly Perry.
Yeah.
Nice.
Bo Brokoff.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna get all these people.
I want to get them on. We've already had Kelly.
We have had.
I told Bo if he's ever in town, we're recording with him no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've already tried to get. I told Andre he's got to come on, so and he's game.
Awesome.
So
I was just telling Josh, like, this is kind of my first time, like, having an art team experience, and like I love it so much, and it's like doing such wonders for me, and like it just makes me so sad that because I know we're not gonna be working all together like forever until the end of time, so it's like
that's true.
Yeah, it makes me sad.
You never know, though. Don't be so pessimistic.
And you know what? It's a small world, and you end up people drift apart and then come back together, right?
That's true.
Yeah. We have like a. Did we mention this with? Yeah, we mentioned this with Franklin.
We mentioned this.
So this will be the second week that you hear this.
Yep.
But yeah, we started doing like a thing where we do like an art trade, where we all draw something, like sketch something, and use like a site to like trade names or whatever, like a Secret Santa site or whatever.
It is literally.
It's a literally
Secret
yeah, but it's a good way to like shuffle the names in a digital hat,
Mm-hmm.
and like everybody gets somebody else's sketch and paints it. So yeah, and it was due on
Yeah.
Monday, but not everybody finished.
Oh, that sounds really fun.
Yeah, and so I was thinking, or when you were talking about your process, Josh, because I mean, you complain that you don't like starting grayscale all the time,
And yet I always do it.
Yeah, but this is like the perfect opportunity for you to just like
Experiment.
Yeah, experiment.
That's what I was. We started talking about, me and Kyle, like, man, the mixer brush looks like it could do so many cool things. We don't understand it. And I think with like the next painting, I'm gonna use the mixer brush. I feel like, and just like
there you go.
Go straight into color. Try to figure out a way where it works like oils, because we were talking about making it feel like oil paints, and just figure it out. And if it doesn't work, whatever.
Mixer brush.
Oh, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna embarrass you a little bit, Alan, but
He looks really worried.
I was given Franklin's sketch and I was painting it, and
Oh.
right, and I was looking at one of your paintings because you have like this really pretty like pearly tone for one of the paintings you did.
And it was one of your portraits.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and it's like pearly, and like, you know, like the values are close, but like the saturation is like bumped up to get the pinks and the blues and the whites, and then I was trying. I failed, but
no, it looked good.
But I learned a lot.
Yeah,
That's
we all
awesome.
complimented you on the pearlescent like color like quality that it had.
I'd like to see that. Like,
I'll show you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So, yeah, imitate your favorite artists.
Yes.
Gosh,
It's a good way to. It's a good way to learn. That's what I do. I'm always imitating.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I don't know half the artists that I'm inspired by sometimes. I just look at it and like, wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And the more you see it, then you learn their names. But there's so much great talent out there. If you flip through ArtStation, and just click on one dude from Asia and like,
exactly.
Oh my
so
gosh,
many like
whatever
Chinese,
your name is.
Yeah.
like Korean artists.
It's crazy.
Yeah. We started doing a thing. I don't know. We even get to do this anymore. But there was like they put a TV next to our area, and like Kyle plugged it into his thing. We had just had art. We had like a shared folder. We would just put art that we liked, and it would just like go through like a slideshow.
Over 1,000 files.
Yeah, and we would just see cool stuff on the screen all day, just going through.
That was cool.
Until they told us, no, we're gonna use it for something else.
Yeah.
Boo.
Yep.
Hopefully we can work some like middle ground out.
Yeah.
But it was cool.
Yeah, that was cool seeing that stuff up there.
Yeah, it's just like I would look over and be like, yeah, I want to do that stuff right now.
Also, I think it's cool that like you can be okay, what am I trying to say here? I think people are, as like artists, we discredit ourselves, like but like I thought it was cool that Kyle threw up like one of Jasmine's like silk screens.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and so like I saw it up there, and like it's up there, and it's up there amongst all those other like big name artists that we also threw up there. And so it's like there's not any real difference, you know.
You guys should keep doing it. I think that's a great idea. Even if it's not on the TV, put it on like a unused monitor or something.
We might. Actually, we were talking about that.
Yeah. The more you guys are exposed to, like, the more inspired you're gonna be.
Yeah, and that like sort of breaking down those boundaries between like just because it's somebody you know, it doesn't mean that it's not as valuable as like all these like amazing artists that you've seen on the internet and stuff like that. Like into that I don't know if it like showed up because there's so many images in that folder of ours now, but I just I put stuff from people that I know. I put like some of Harris's stuff.
Nice.
I think I put something that Fortune made.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
I was just like, they're my friends and they're still great artists. I want to see their stuff like amongst this like collection. I'm never gonna put my own shit.
Why not?
Yeah, you should.
No, I should not. I'd be like, I would throw up. I'm like, oh my. I have like a lot of art that I get at like conventions or prints or whatever, like hung up in my apartment. And every time somebody comes over who has like haven't seen my apartment yet or something like that, that art's cool. Is it yours? I'm like, fuck no, I wouldn't put my own art up.
I know, people always ask if it's yours.
It's like, no, I don't want to look at my own shit. I've looked at it enough. Like, I want to see other people's stuff.
I have an idea for people out there who are illustrators who have a ton of digital work that's just, just sitting there. Do you remember a long time ago, illustrators would have card decks, and they're not games, they're not collector cards or anything, or they're just collector cards of different illustrations they've done for various projects. Like Frank Frazetta has a series of deck of cards, Boris Vallejo, Joe Gisco. These guys, a long time ago, in the 90s, they used to just make decks of cards of their work.
Really? No, this is like before.
I actually brought them here for you to see. I can show you in a second.
Okay.
But these things are amazing. I remember seeing them as a kid, and I wasn't allowed to have them because there's some semi-nudity and stuff like that in it. But I always thought it looked so amazing with the fantasy creatures and all the warriors and the orcs and the demons, and it was pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
So I found a deck of Boris Vallejo's full card set from 1991 at a comic store, and I bought it, and I brought it here today to show you guys.
I want to see it.
But people should do that. Find a site that makes trading cards and put your own work on it and bring it to the next convention that you're at to sell at your table or whatever. That's a great idea, right?
That's a great idea.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Hold on, give me a sec.
Okay.
I went to Portland recently, and I was trying to find a gift to bring back to the office. And I really wanted to find, like, an art book with, like, this... Would you say it's 80s? Like, 80s?
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
like,
80s
definitely
style.
80s, 90s, yeah.
And I don't know, how else do you describe
Probably
this stuff?
just fantasy illustrations.
Fantasy.
Yeah.
Just everyone from that Frank Frazetta camp.
Yep.
So cool.
Yeah, I was looking for that at Powell's bookstore. But I ended up getting a Game of Thrones puzzle.
Yeah, I mean, you started the puzzle trend.
I did, and now there's a... Now we do puzzles.
Yeah, now we have a nice Thomas Kincaid. It's Thomas, right?
It is Thomas.
Okay,
Kincaid.
Thomas Kincaid, like that Dylan fucking hates.
It's okay, like, yeah, real quick refresher. Thomas Kincaid's stuff is like very impressionistic.
Yeah. Take a look at that one.
Yeah,
the shiny bits.
He paints like idyllic scenes, like cottages and just like a scattering of like flowers.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we'll like be working on the puzzle and we'll just get so overwhelmed by like the noise of the piece, and then we'll be like, "You just got Kincaided."
Yeah, we've turned it into a verb.
My cousin worked for a fine artist before, and he was one of the guys who was supposed to touch up or paint his stuff. And my cousin had told me that, yeah, the actual artist doesn't really do much other than like a sketch.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like what? Okay, so you said this is a fine artist. Interesting. Like, well, yeah, what is their...
I mean...
I don't know, like, what is their goal?
It does remind me of, like, even Renaissance painters and, like, painters in, like, you know, all these different, like, eras. I don't know what you want to, like, specify, but they would have, like, studios of, like, apprentices that would paint most of the stuff. And then, like, the master himself only paints, like, the face and the hands, right?
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, a lot of, like, I know a lot of French painters did that. Maybe Italian painters. And my art history knowledge has really slipped since college, so I can't really point to, like, a specific century that was happening and stuff. I just remember stuff, like big, like, commissioned... portraits of like King Louis the whatever, like would be like a team of people, like apprentices painting pretty much everything, like all the clothing and shit like that, and he would only just do like a little bit of the hands and like the face.
I see.
Kind of like
artistic feedback.
Yeah, I guess so. Oh my god, I fucking love this. I don't know why. It's just like speaks to me on a level of like I want to go work out now. He's like reaching. It's like there's a ripped dude reaching for like a barbell that's like coming out like part. It looks like it's carved out of the stone.
Give him credit. It's Boris Vallejo's number 43 card.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah,
so if you want to look it up,
Boris
Vallejo, card number 43. What's the last nugget of wisdom do you have for us, Alan?
I don't have much wisdom.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
You have amazing like trading cards. Artists.
I do have trading cards here for you guys today. Too bad for the listeners. Yeah,
it's a great audio podcast like thing.
We'll take some pictures.
Well, yeah, we will include pictures and also like, you can Google this stuff, and I don't know how easy it is to buy this. To be honest, this might be collector's items. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you let us touch it with our bare hands?
Oh, that's right.
That's okay.
Okay, Alan's not back on that.
The value of this is the visuals.
That's true.
Not the condition.
It's meant to be enjoyed.
Yeah, I'm not going to sell this stuff.
That'd be, oh my god, if I could like make enough illustrations to fill up a deck like this and actually make it.
You could probably make half of them like your sketches and half of them like your illustrations. And the size of it's so good because they're not large at all.
That's true. Like
everything's gonna be high res at this size.
Yeah,
right? So
that's a good point.
Yeah,
you're thinking like a mobile game illustrator.
Exactly.
Like it's gonna read at this size.
Right. Just make sure you save it out as CYMK.
Oh shit! You gotta start worrying about print.
Yeah.
Oh god, then the colors will be wrong. Yeah. Make sure to get the.
Can't win it all.
The the printer profile.
Oh,
the printer profile, and you can use that to check the proof the colors. It doesn't always work. I've done it so many times trying to like Kinko's or Costco prints look right because they have like their printer profiles online, and you do all this work to make it look right, and you print it and it's still wrong. Yeah, well, that's the life, the struggles of an artist.
Yeah, but I think what we're talking about is really cool because it all encompasses in design, really. Like you're designing the shapes, you're designing the lines within the shapes, you're designing the color balance within your piece. You're always designing something, and the whole thing is eventually a product of your own design, which I think is important to remember because we are essentially designers, right? We're constantly designing stuff to fit what our vision is.
Yeah.
I feel like I forget about that a lot. It's like I don't think about that enough, really.
Yeah. I was really feeling that today actually because we went to the MoMA. And I enjoyed it a lot more than Josh enjoyed it.
That just comes down to our personal artistic interests.
Yeah, it does.
Maybe I just don't care about
was there no
abstract art more.
Wasn't dudes there?
There weren't any ripped dudes. Yeah.
There are no overly rendered ripped dudes.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. That's not modern art.
No,
there's good stuff.
and
we had different experiences.
Yeah, and the abstract stuff made me think about design and why did they choose to. Did you see there's piles of clothes and
I did see that.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
No, it's and everything was put there for a reason.
I see.
Yeah.
Was that an installation piece?
It was an installation piece, yeah.
Crazy.
And then, but it
dirty laundry.
Yeah. Well, it was
compositionally,
by
it
colors
worked.
too.
Yeah, there was a pile of red clothes, pile of blue clothes, and there was a person.
There were
in
some
there,
ladies there.
Yeah, sewing.
Yeah.
Oh, and so they hired someone to be part of the piece?
At first, I wasn't sure.
I think so.
Yeah, I was am I allowed to just go in? Oh no, I think they're part of this.
And it required a lot of design though, because as I was walking around it and stuff, I couldn't see her face. It was just covered by her hair, and I was like, they must have done that on purpose. And
sounds kind of scary.
It was kind of scary. See, that's why I like this stuff. It's lots of emotions and yeah.
Very cool.
It's pretty intense subject matter. in that entire floor.
Yeah.
That floor had some pretty intense stuff.
Yeah, a little triggering.
Little bit, yeah. Trigger warning.
Trigger warning. Seventh
floor at the MoMA.
Hey, when you guys are painting like a piece,
yes,
when do you know it's done?
Oh.
Have you guys asked this question before on this podcast?
Not on this podcast.
So this is very, very interesting to everyone, I think. Everyone out there might be curious. Like, when do you know something is done? From, let's say, just a 2D illustration standpoint. No 3D.
I feel like my answer has changed like throughout the years. I used to say when I'm sick of looking at it. But I don't think that's my answer anymore. When is it done? I feel like I know that I could keep working on something for weeks, right? Like, but I know now what is sort of like the bar that I shoot for. I already like know what like where my target is. Maybe not like right away, but at some point I'm like, okay, I know what I'm shooting for. So I can just see when I hit that, I'm like, all right, that's what my target was. I can wrap this up. So that just comes from experience of like doing it enough. Like, okay, I want to do this character. I kind of am shooting for this style. Maybe I've done it before. Maybe I have like something that I am using as like an inspiration for something. And I'm like, okay, that's what I was imagining. And that's something I didn't have before, which is why I just had that like really sort of sophomoric answer, like, oh, when I'm tired of looking at it. Yeah, and like I have like a fantasy illustration. I'm just like, okay, I've done X number of fantasy illustrations. I know what I can do. I know like if I'm gonna shoot for something better, like it's gonna be like this much better. That's realistic without like putting an extra 50 hours into it or whatever. And then it's like, okay, cool, that's good.
Nice.
Time to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to.
So it's not just when you're sick of looking at it. No. You kind of feel.
I feel it. It's so you know. I don't know. Maybe like a musician knows like when the song is ready to like perform. Like, okay, this is what I imagined. Right.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm like formulating a metaphor in my head right now, but it's kind of like working out for me. My experience with like deciding if work is finished or not. It's kind of like working out. I don't know. Let's say like you have a bodybuilder. Like, okay, I want to achieve that look or something, and it's like I know.
You have many cards of bodybuilders. Right?
And it's like, okay, so I know I need to like I need to start somewhere. I gotta like start doing some push-ups or whatever. So then I guess like I'll start a painting, and then I'll have like a painting up that I admire and that's been like inspiring me, and so like it's like, okay, that's like what a finished work and something that I would be proud of, like if I had done that. I'll have that up and like I'll have it in my mind's eye or whatever, but like I think it really is like you just need to keep doing it more. You just need to keep painting things. Like you're not gonna hit it the first try.
Yeah.
So then it's like I'll do like one painting and it's like, okay, I only could do like 5 push-ups today. and that's finished. Like that's as far as I could go. And like I know it doesn't look like that, but at this moment right now, like it's all I'm kind of capable of. And then like you just need to do it again, and then like the next time you do it, you can do 10 push-ups now, and like you're a little bit fitter, and like, oh, it looks closer to like, you know, what I had in my mind's eye. And then that's kind of what I'm going through right now.
I think that's the way that most people go through it too, because you're always constantly growing, and the finish line is always moving, you know. For me, I have a tough time knowing when something's done. It used to be where I pick a few areas of interest and make sure that that stuff is rendered well, and that the other loose stuff looks somewhat intentional. You know, I can paint over it. Oh, that stroke didn't look good. They make it look better, and they change the color. But as you get better and learn more techniques, such as say color dynamics, having a brush switch hue as you do it, it's beautiful, beautiful feature. then what you think is finished changes because, oh, there's too much solid color here. I want to add more temperature variation, so I'm going to do some color dynamics or add a little bit more vibrancy there. So you're constantly moving the goalpost, and I think that's a great thing. That's a great metaphor for it. Like every time, every piece you make, give it your all, because the next time you're going to use something to excel even further.
Yeah. You need to just, see, that's what I did in the past too. It was like, I'd be so scared of like painting and stuff where I would just feel like, okay, I did this one, like for school, and like that's all I can do. But no, you need to do more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gotta keep, churning it out.
I like that workout metaphor, because...
I do too.
Yeah, you go to the gym and you just like, you physically can't do anymore. It's like that's done, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's you. I know you almost feel that same way when you do a painting. It's like I can't go any further.
Yeah, for me it's like I just
like you've strained your art muscles.
Yeah, and it's kind of like I just don't see anything anymore. Yeah. Like I gotta rest, and then the next time I come back, it'll be like, oh, I could work on this. I could work on that. Yeah.
I think it's a really good metaphor.
Do you guys feel like you as artists tend to do the same type of thing, and are you guys concerned about that at all?
Yes to both.
Me too.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't get out of my personal comfort zone enough, and I end up doing perspectives that have the same level horizon line, same perspective, same sort of general composition, and I get scared. I'm like, dude, am I not seeing something here? Am I just repeating myself?
Back to the... I agree with that, because like sometimes I'm just like, just have some time to sketch, and I'm just sort of like, what do I do? And I'm just drawing something that's like, I always draw stuff like this or something, right? Mm-hmm. I always pick this kind of subject matter or design. I feel like I do a similar design language a lot of the times, and bringing it back to that workout metaphor, it's like plateauing. I'm like, oh, am I plateauing? Do I need to change the workout? Because that's how you grow more. It's like
that's
when
true.
You reach that plateau, you have to do change it. The whole thing has to be different, because then that's the only way you're going to get better.
Yeah, it's kind of like 3-point perspective looking up is kind of like you're doing leg day, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or I don't do much characters. Let me work on my forearms today.
Exactly. I feel like sometimes. Like I say, I do characters, and I don't do too many environments. I'm just one of those artists who never do leg day. Like I'm just like this ripped upper body of characters, and these like twigs for legs. That's me, man.
I like this whole workout metaphor.
I do. I think it's very good.
Yeah,
it's funny.
Fits right in.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. It's just like. And it just goes right back to my favorite
buff dudes
painting where he was reaching for that dumbbell.
You need to find it again.
I do need to find it again. Wait, it was the other one. Let me take a look.
Okay, I also think it depends.
I think it was number 43, right?
Yeah, it was number 43.
Everyone, Boris Vallejo, 1991.
I can even look at the name.
Number 43 card.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think it depends on what.
It's called dumbbell.
I'll take a picture of. It depends on what you're trying to achieve too. Like lately for me, I really want to get into I want to exercise my illustration side, I guess. And so the illustrators that I follow, they just have such a strong look, I guess. And it's when you look at their stuff, it's it's theirs. And that's kind of what I want at the moment and what I don't have. So for me, I'm kind of just trying to draw, even if it's kind of samey or whatever, I'm still just trying to explore it just so that I can build that, I don't know, visual language of my own, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what? There might not be that much wrong with sameness. If you look at these guys, a lot of ripped dudes.
Yeah.
You look at some very popular artists now. I mean, we use Sakimi-chan as an example a lot. Yeah. What does she draw? Sexy pinups. That's it.
And I think, staying in your comfort zone, it's probably not the best idea, but it also helps you to, find who you are as an artist. That's basically who you are. If you can't break out of a certain thing that you always do, that kind of becomes your work. And then what people see you as.
And what people come to you for.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But still, I feel weird about doing the same type of stuff. And you'll see sometimes if if anyone ever goes to my site or my art station, you'll see me try to do a character once in a while, and it's not the greatest thing, but that's me trying to like do leg day.
I know, I'm like, what? I'm so confused. I'm like, your characters look great.
Yeah, I definitely struggle with that. But it's me doing leg day, right? Yeah. You got to work out those other muscles once in a while. But I don't think it's my strength for sure. It's a very difficult thing for me.
But it's good that you're trying it.
Yeah.
I need to. Ooh, man, those environments.
You gotta do those squats, you know.
Yeah. How else are you gonna get a toned butt? Anyways.
Whoa. Yeah. I'm just curious, like, what you guys seek in an art director, because I mentioned earlier that I feel that it's a position to serve, and I want to become better at it. And what better way than to ask some artists what they seek and what they value in an art director?
I know, it's such a good question.
It is a good question. I'll take a crack at it. What I seek in an art director, I feel like a lot of the attributes you were talking about before of like giving feedback in a positive way, or like a way that sort of takes into account what's working as well as what's not working. I think it's good for my fragile ego. No, but it is good. It's a good like way to like make sure that everyone on the team understands that like we are all on the same page, or like going for the same goal. Mm-hmm. Like when it feels like a team, like it's not just like the ringleader or like the beastmaster coming in with the whip telling you what to do. Mm-hmm. It's more like a leader. Making sure that everyone is in the right formation, like doing everything right, and like you learn from it. Like learning from art direction, I think, is super important. Mm-hmm. So like an art director who not only has a vision and says like what they want to see from you, but also like can give you insight on how to achieve that, I think is super valuable.
Yeah, that kind of hit the nail on the head. Yeah, it resonated with me when you said like you try to like align everyone's vision with yours, rather than like just telling them like this is the vision, you know, and do it. But like
It's good that you brought that up, because sometimes I find myself being that guy who, just do it this way because I know exactly what I want. Artists tend to want to be more collaborative sometimes. I have an individual who responds better when I deliver feedback in a way that it seems collaborative. So I'm very sure I make sure to use words like, this is a suggestion, or if you have any other ideas, let's do it together. And it's gotten a lot better. So
that's good. Yeah. I like that.
I'm always trying to find out new ways to communicate with artists, because it's a never-ending goal, you know. It's a never-ending battle to encompass all of the different personalities and know when and how to deliver what. But it's fun. It's definitely fun working with such various personalities. It's not always easy, but I guess that's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
If it was easy, probably wouldn't be fun. If
it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Yeah. If it was easy and fun, you would have to pay work to go to work. Right?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. I feel like sometimes you feel like you're getting away with some sort of heist. Like, I ain't paid to do this. Like, even at Machine Zone, there was a few like periods of time where I'm like, I can't believe I'm being paid to do this.
Yeah, like go to Japan.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay. We already talked enough about that with Kelly.
We did.
Yeah. And the food. How awesome it was.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot about how to value people and make them feel valued, because I think that's super important to make a team run harmoniously. Making sure that everyone comes to work knowing that they're valued and knowing that they're making a difference. So things like when you're offering someone a position, like a lot of things are very important to that individual, from salary to title to perks and all that stuff. And I found myself, ignoring some of that stuff, thinking, oh yeah, he'll just take whatever title because whatever. And oh yeah, is it between this and this number? Then let's just do it. Like, I often forget that that's a human being who is trying to feed their family or just survive in this crazy Bay Area.
Yeah.
And I think it's good to hear your guys' perspectives on these kind of things, because it helps me to maybe become a better manager for these people. They're individuals who really have specific needs and shouldn't be minded for any reason. They're valuable people.
Yeah.
And that's what makes a good art director, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. And you think maybe on that note, you think we should wrap this up? Anything you want to say? Comment on our Facebook page or on our Instagram, or email us at cadmiumdread@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And before we go,
Yeah.
I just want to say thanks for having me on. I hope that what I've talked about today was somewhat interesting or helpful in some way or another.
I think it is.
I hope to be back again.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I feel like we just like scratched the surface. We're gonna have to have you back on.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
great. I feel
absolutely.
like I want to keep going, but
I know. I can tell. I mean, you have a lot to offer.
oh
and,
man,
and
if
to
we're
talk
talking about art in the industry, that
Yeah.
stuff's always fun to talk
Right?
about.
Yeah.
You know?
So this is a little bit of just a tip of that
Iceberg.
that Alan iceberg.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
And we'll have you on again in the future, I'm sure. We would love to have you back on.
Thank you guys so much.
And everyone should check out Alan's work, because it's all amazing. We're going to link his ArtStation and Instagram and stuff, and anything else you want us to show people. Go do art.
Keep drawing.
Yeah.
Yeah.